and vehicles, of which some of them might be radio, TV. We've got to strategize that going forward. And then we still do the writing and the graphic design and the team and the web management and the web updating. This is another interesting thing. Your website now, as Andre was saying, was done a year ago, but we have to go into that website now and go through it, because we now have to make significant changes. We not only have to make changes to the information that we see, but we have to go into the back office and we have to relink. We have to make sure United is properly connected through links. We've done some of it already. We have to remove links, all right, for information that's changed. So that's not just turning a switch and everything's changed. We are doing that now as we speak. You'll notice Wade called up the front page here. We changed our front page on our website because before we had, if you recall, Get Down to Florida. Well, now we're taking a broader approach and we're doing the benefits now of coming to OGS. You know, recharge, refresh, rejoice, direct flights, affordable. So now we're going back to our fundamental messaging because it applies to both airlines.
Number one reason why Canadians choose this airport is the direct flights.
Absolutely, hands down.
You'd think it was like, hey, cost, cheap. No, direct, it's the experience, and you guys are opening the doors.
Well, Ottawa geographically is in a difficult position for travel because we are between Montreal and Toronto. And if we want to get anywhere, we have to typically go to one of those two locations. Now, Toronto is a hugely busy airport. Montreal is closer geographically for us, but all people who've lived and traveled at Ottawa, that is the thing. It's always direct flight. It's always. And now we've got options, and this is one of the big reasons for a lot of the market that's coming here, is what you've done through the direct flight offering. Questions? I think probably the time is best served if you ask us questions, and we'll be happy to
Question about sort of social media strategy.
Yes.
So I know Facebook isn't really effective, and this is anecdotal, but I'm seeing more and more people I know moving away from Facebook because of privacy concerns and feeling like they're not getting the information, connecting with friends. I've noticed a lot of people I know move towards Instagram, move towards Snapchat, and move towards other things. Do you feel that there's a shift there that we should account for, or is we still a couple of years away from that? What do you think?
Our following is growing, and our market is on Facebook.
Okay.
Our market is on Facebook. We have, fortunately, are looking at, the geography. So we are including this area as well because they're serving this area in terms of those flights. But in terms of the Canadian market and where we're going, and the market, when we started in Ottawa itself, we have been finding that it's expanding. So there's people that are willing to drive 2-3 hours to come to this airport. So they are still using Facebook. There's statistics that are coming out. We were just reviewing 2018 trends on Facebook. It is still the primary way that people are advertising. So we are looking at it. We were concerned because there was a switch in January of 2018 where Facebook started prioritizing private posts over business posts.
Yeah.
But we have such a momentum going with our followers right now that as soon as we post something organically, they're sharing. So we have people that are there for us. Live followers, and this is good to define this, is we might have the 3,100, and I think it's gone up since we did this report. Follower is just someone who's actually gone on and physically clicked on the page and said, I like this. But we also have followers that haven't gone to that route. So we actually have way more than that, because there's the people that are just like, I'm choosing not to tell everyone I clicked on this page.
Right.
But they're still engaging with it. And so we have the people that are loyal here locally that are actually getting on and sharing information whenever there's updates as well. So in terms of the people who are already loyal, who are already using Facebook, they and their friends is how this is going. If we were starting fresh from today, we might approach it differently if we were starting from scratch. But we have such a momentum going now. Should we find from the statistics that people are dropping off of Facebook and that we're losing, we can adjust that strategy, but the time, we keep growing. Like I said, we just posted something 2 days ago, and we're up to 4,800.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, whenever we're looking at a platform from a generic point of view, we look, is this the best platform suited for this type of a business? And in some other types of platforms, it can be more conducive to different types of businesses, i.e. if it's a heavy photo-driven type environment. Ours is more information sharing, backed with relevant photography through a large audience. Okay, so the nature of our business lends itself still to the Facebook concept and that strategy. But that's a great question. And if anybody has any questions on any other platforms, don't hesitate to reach out to us, either that directly or through Wade, and we'll get you back the information you need to answer those questions.
Just pulling up some of the posts, you'll notice in there that once these things load here, there's compliments to the operations for having a wonderful what do you want to say, operation season in terms of keeping the airport open when everything else is closed. Apologize, I can't get
The not now is
Not
right
now.
under the green button.
Oh, there we go. Have used Ogdensburg Airport for 5 flights from Stanford. Cannot express how great the staff were. Uses the airport many times. Great service. Had an excellent experience last week at Ogdensburg Airport. You can see the getaway options just doubled. Some of the new posts there. See a photo of the show. I mean, just a tremendous. There's a nice photo somebody took out the window of the Cape Airplane. Pi Day. Again, when you go back through here, I mean, there's just tremendous public engagement. And thank you for the wonderful job you do managing that for us.
Thank you.
Appreciate
You're welcome.
And you've done some PR for us when there were relation issues between our two countries.
Correct. Correct.
Sometimes things get sensitive.
Yeah. And I think it's all about trying to, respond, take the high road, respond in a very efficient and proactive way, and as we know it, right? And and that's going to be the way it will be on social media, Sam. There's always going to be, but we've had this great relationship with tying into you to be able to also get direction on, things when they come up. And that goes from both sides, if there's everything from flight delays to sensitivities that countries deal with all the time to TV shows on 60 Minutes. We've kind of been through the whole gamut. And interestingly, it's all quiet, touch wood. Everything has all been dealt with, so there we go. Any other questions?
No, Joe, it's your first time. We've been through it. I've been through it since we actually started. And we know what you've certainly done for us. You're in where a majority of our market is, and I think your knowledge of the area is invaluable to us. And like you said, with the addition of the United flights, that's a whole other area.
It is.
And the knowledge of where others, where most of our market is coming from, where they would like to go as we move forward and ask for additional flights out of here, either through Allegiant or United or who knows who else. That information is pretty valuable.
And we will continue to align our messaging under that philosophy. I mean, that's, our messaging is always going to be aligned so that there's a complimentary feel going out for all your clients that come up to your gate. And then all the guest passengers as well.
And the people who park.
And the people in the park, absolutely.
As well, you'll notice that we're coming up with a drive to the airport, fly direct. So why is it not parked at the airport? It's because you have a bridge too. You have shopping, you have an economy, there's many different things. So in order to do all of that, you gotta drive, you park later. But it's all rolled in, and so there's a lot of thought. I mean, we spent a lot of times coming up with some crazy ideas, and we start with a theme and we test it, and then we create a toolkit. And so there's a series of slogans that we were able to put together for Legion, for example. And now that we have Washington DC and Chicago coming on board, it's a whole new area where we're gonna have a whole
Yeah.
bunch of different ways of capturing our audience.
One thing I will mention, that for those people that maybe are new to the board, we also manage and work with advanced media. You may have seen that in the statement of work here. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because advanced media is the social media company that does all the paid searches out there to the world, I'll say to Google. Now, we put in criteria when we think, okay, we want to go after this geographic area, this demographic, et cetera. But Andre and I manage that responsibility of working with them, and it's been a good year. We've had a good relationship. We feed them to keep our consistent message here. We feed them the information, and they put it out through their appropriate channels. So that has also worked very well in terms of ensuring that OGS has the complete social media story from all elements. And so I just wanted to mention that in case you were wondering what that piece of the puzzle was in this. Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you,
Thank you.
Thanks for the presentation, folks.
thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just one other quick update regarding the show. We will be issuing a thank you letter to St. Lawrence County Chamber of Commerce. Each year we partner with the Chamber of Commerce, and together we get a booth that's about the distance from this table to that wall. And we have like 1/3 of that booth, and it's really appreciated. It's a high-profile event for us at a very low cost and very effective, so we will be sending out a thank you.
Good. We're lucky we were able to share that cost with them.
Definitely, especially for such a high-profile show.
Yes. Where are we, so we can move on to agenda item E.
I'd recommend moving on to agenda item E1. This is approval of scope of work for Rayon McGee and Andre Page.
And I see in the payment schedule, part of what they would like is the advance payments aligning with 25% of all professional services. Jim, do you see an issue with that?
Depending on how much and how quickly, yes, I do. Probably the only problem we've been having with the advertisers and the marketing group is being able to pay them timely. And that most likely is not going to change.
How does that affect us? Because that's part, Frank, if I'm reading this right, as part of the agreement. I'm on page 8 and 9, I believe. Is there a proposal?
Well, I think we'd have to modify the agreement and then see, obviously, if they were okay with that, if we had an agreement.
Also, I noticed at the bottom of page 8, all outstanding invoices to be paid no later than May 15th. And I don't know where we stand with that. If you review the information, but wasn't in particular looking for this particular contract. Do you know where we stand with current invoices for them? Could you,
Deal them for January, February, and March.
okay, and do you know the total amount?
Just below $4,000 a month.
Okay.
And there's a couple of straggler invoices that'll push it a little over $4,000.
So approximately 12,000 for that, plus the 7,500, if I'm reading this as well.
Well, they're looking for the 7,500 by April 30th,
Right, yeah, I was just sort of,
and then the 13 that you're talking about by May 15th.
yes.
So, that's why my question was, in light of what they would like us to do, can we do it? Jim?
You're looking at me. It will be difficult. Really changing the priorities. So if we pay one vendor their past due invoices plus a down payment on future services, then we're not paying somebody else.
That's what it is.
Well, it seems to me that we need to deal with reality, and our ability to pay is part of our reality. And I support continuing to work with them. I don't know what difference it would make to them if we were to sit down and say, okay, here is what we can do. And I think that we ought to do that so that they know what we can do and we have time to make a plan that we can carry through. And is this something that can be deferred until we've made that discussion, made the plan, made the proposal? Because I don't think there's any question on my part, but that I'll vote for what's recommended and support it.
Well, the month of April comes into question, but because it's under 5,000, I could authorize that myself to get us through the month of April if you wish to pick this up back in May. Is that the thought, if I'm understanding correctly?
Well, there's an agreement they would like, and part of that agreement deals with payments that we owe them from prior months, and how much we need to pay them at a particular date. And either, this agreement is modified, or we agree to meet what's in this agreement. Either we can or we can't. If we can't, then we need to modify the agreement so that it works out for us and for the marketing group. And I think that's what Chris is saying. If we can't agree to that right here and now, then we don't approve this today, and then we go back to the drawing board and work out something that's agreeable to both of us. Is that right, Chris?
Yeah, and I think that both collections and payments are things that you need to address. I mean, this is reality. I have been in your position. And it seems to me that sometimes for the party that's trying to do collections, that part of what's at issue is to make sure that it doesn't get any worse. And maybe that there's a payment. I can remember a payment plan once where somebody paid for the current charges plus $25. We're talking small numbers then, guys. But maybe something like that would be acceptable to the Canadian team. Current plus something,
We can have those discussions.
yes.
So it should be clear that we certainly appreciate everything they've already done and agree that we would love to continue our relationship with them. We just have to make sure that our agreement, we can financially do so that it doesn't harm us anymore, and it goes with what they would like to have.
As executive director, what latitude do I have with them through the month of April? Because I also need them in terms of promotion for the United flights.
Yes, that's a problem.
So do I have my normal latitude per procurement policy on this, or is it restricted, or what's your preference?
I think it's necessary that we give you that lead. I don't
Okay.
see any way around it with United
Right.
now.
I
I
agree.
think this is a really critical time for the airport and for the rest of the season. You know, I don't wanna cripple you guys right at the outset.
And I also heard, Jim, you said that there could be different prioritization that could also make this work. And I don't know what those priorities are, and so I don't wanna comment on, but to me, considering United, considering this is the season, you know, considering all of those things, to me, this is a high priority thing in my mind, although I'm not sure what I'm comparing it to, so that's why it's a little hard to say, oh, we should make this the #1 priority. But I don't know, to me, if there were things that we needed to change priorities a little around, I certainly would support that, so long as it wouldn't cripple us in some other serious way, because I do think this is an extraordinarily important time for marketing to make us more money so we can pay off things we need to pay off.
You don't wanna lose your momentum.
Exactly.
And you're going forward now, and if you stop cold, the momentum's gonna be lost.
Yep.
That's not even counting the new guy, this is the old guy. I mean, even though they'll be shutting down soon, you know, the flights, you gotta build the base back up to, when those flights take off again in September, that you're ready to fly again.
Yeah.
So if we proceed with the, what's requested of us for this agreement, we would need to come up with roughly $20,000 by May 15th. Is that how you see this, Jim? So, there it is. We can, I think everyone's right as far as what our priorities should be. We need more traffic at the airport, we need those planes full. Without spending the 20,000, as our attorney had said, that, you know, hurts the momentum that they've already started for us, and it may be hard to pick that up again. So, that's the bottom line. Is there a motion?
I move we adopt the statement of work as outlined.
With the financial obligations that are in it?
Yes, as a starting point for our conversation, let's start there, as a motion, yes.
Is there a second? I will second for discussion.
I think we need to table it and work a little bit more with Rayanne and Andre and see, and Jim. And figure out, I'm not comfortable with adopting an agreement that I'm not sure that we can fulfill, particularly when these ladies have done a phenomenal job. And that, I'm not comfortable telling them we're gonna do something and then later on coming back to them and saying, we can't do it, I'm so sorry. I don't think that's fair to them, and I'm not good with that.
They have done a stellar job for us.
The table?
I think you had a second for discussion, so that's mine.
Okay.
She's not there.
That's my
She's not there
discussion.
yet.
Motion to table,
That's
take
my
precedence
discussion.
over the other.
That's right. But she didn't make that motion, so we're still discussing.
Maybe the finance committee should meet the CFO and see where you can put the nickels and dimes together to come up with something.
I'm a little concerned. Again, I'm kind of caught off guard by this. This did go through the Facilities Committee and was approved by 3 board members of the Facilities Committee, yet none of these financial concerns were raised in the committee format. So I apologize for that. We should have done a better job on that side, and we can turn around and pick it up next month if that's what you choose.
Well, I have every expectation that the OBPA wants to contract with them, and that the only question is, the rate at which we catch up the old balance. And I think that while it's something of a presumption, I think that we can have your patience to sit down and work on an agreement so that we do something good. And I think it's really a mistake in a situation where we have to carefully watch what we pay to throw the plan up in the air and jumble it, because it doesn't come down neatly. And everybody in the administration knows how much time it takes every week just to deal with vendors and keep things in order. And let's not disrupt. Let's make a plan instead. And it's with that in mind that I'd like to see this table dealt with. I'd be game to pass the resolution exempting the payment plan and work out the payment plan. Approve the contract with that exemption. I don't know whether that would be a silly thing to do, but it seems to me it would be an expression of commitment.
I think it'd be better to table the plan, work on it, not wait till next month's actual meeting, but try to get something to come up before that, so that you can present a plan to take care of it.
Yeah.
You can't really adopt a plan and cut out the financial part. It doesn't work.
Makes sense.
Would it, I would think of making a motion to refer to the finance committee, because I feel like that's a good move is, to make sure that it goes to that committee, it gets worked out there, the plan gets worked out there, and then for the purposes of negotiation as well, I think that we could come up with something that would be hopefully workable to all sides.
See,
Well, we went to the facilities committee that Chris and I sit on with Dave as chair. But since then, there's been more discussion, I think, on the finances. And the attempt by the finance committee and others, that we need to be a little bit more careful on what money we have, the aging of our payments, how well we can do that, and not making further commitments that we can't fulfill. So that's why we're sitting here discussing this. This certainly has nothing to do with your job. Nothing. It has to do with other issues, financial issues.
And to be clear, it's not the value, we certainly believe that your value is here. You know, like the price point is good. We
Yeah.
certainly get bang for our buck with you guys. That's not
Absolutely.
the issue.
Right, it's just that we need to meet our obligations as we're committed to.
Sounds to me as if we have the basis of an agreement among the four of us. And I wonder what the correct order of business would be.
So I'll move to table this, and schedule a meeting with the appropriate parties. That hopefully is a relatively quick date, to try and,
Yeah, we have a finance committee meeting at the end of the month, and our next board meeting is tentatively scheduled for May 2nd.
But what does that mean as far as the marketing team continuing with what they do for us?
Well, what it means under existing procurement policies, I can authorize the 1 month only, because it's under the limit, under the procurement policy.
And I think we'll support that exercise of discretion.
Okay, so is there a motion to table?
so moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor of tabling, Anne Marie, call the roll, please.
Mr. Andriano? Mr. Coffin?
Aye.
Mr. Burns?
Aye.
Ms. Whitman?
Yes.
Motion tabled.
Mr. Chairman, agenda item
Excuse me, before you move on. You understand what we just did?
Yes,
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely, thank you.
thank you.
Want to make sure you get paid.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Agenda
everybody.
item E2 is approval of agreement with Advanced Media. Based on the previous discussion, I recommend this be tabled until the next meeting.
Second,
Second.
the motion to table. Anne Marie, call the roll, please.
Mr. Coffin?
Yes.
Mr. Burns?
Yes,
Ms. Whitten? Yes. Mr. Adriano?
Yes.
Motion tabled.
thank you.
Next item is approval of advertising reimbursed by the SOAR grant for agenda item E3. As this is a financial outlay of cash, I would recommend, based on the previous discussion, that this also be tabled.
So moved.
Second?
Anne Marie, call the roll, please.
Mr. Burns?
Yes,
Ms. Whitten? Yes. Mr. Adriano?
Yes.
Mr. Coffin?
Yes.
Motion tabled.
next.
Agenda item A4 is approval of a lease agreement with SkyWest for office space and GSE facilities at the rates, terms, and conditions you see before you.
There's actually money coming in. Took us a while to get to this.
We can prove this one.
It doesn't have the drawbacks of the last three.
Exactly.
Hopefully you've had a chance to look this over, and I think Wayne and whoever else worked on this done a good job. So as we move forward, this could be a model for any additional deadlines we get in. I think it's well done.
This, for example, is about $250,000 over the previous carrier.
Yes,
That's what that means to us, bottom line.
exactly. There's a motion,
So moved.
second,
Okay.
any discussion? Anne Marie, call the roll, please.
Ms. Whitten? Yes. Mr. Adriano?
Yes.
Mr. Coffin?
Yes.
Mr. Burns?
Yes,
Motion carried.
Next up is approval of a counter replacement. As SkyWest is coming in with United standards, our counters are not up to spec. The counters need to be replaced. There's 2 positions each, 2 for SkyWest and 2 for OBPA use. And our cost would be not to exceed $15,000. There has been an additional request from SkyWest that instead of us paying them, that we turn around and issue a rent credit for that amount.
so we're not actually expending any funds?
On a cash basis, no. And the first invoice that I have so far is 7,000 and change. I'm not sure if that's half or that's the final.
Motion? Second,
Second it.
any discussion? Anne Marie, call the roll, please.
Mr. Adriano?
Yes.
Mr. Coffin?
Yes.
Mr. Burns?
Yes,
Ms. Whitten? Yes. Motion carried.
next,
In the Facilities Committee, we discussed the philosophy behind the rental car contracts. I've had 3 meetings, one with Countrywide, one with USAVE, and one with Hertz representatives. We are very close on language, but we're not there yet, so those will need to be held until next time. So we're down to the final details, how many slots do you need, how many gate charges, those type of things.
I mean, we've had, since the airport was upgraded, issues getting rental car contracts. And now we could be looking at 1, 2, 3, is that possible?
Yes,
Is it reasonable to suppose that we could have all 3 of them in our airport at once? Or
it is actually, that's one thing I forgot to mention, under the counter replacement, our ticket counters were just put in less than 2 years ago. We're gonna pull those out, move them to a different section of the terminal, and those are gonna become our car rental counter. So we're gonna recycle those.
Good.
So that's a very important point. But the rental car companies, I think some will look for space, some probably won't. It depends on their individual philosophies.
Okay,
So there's no action that's required on that one at this time.
thank you. So let's go back to committee reports. Dave's not here for the facilities committee report.
Just on the New York Source grant, I understand, since it's a reimbursement program,
do we have to spend in order to get reimbursed?
Right, you pay as you go, so they will give you invoices for that month, what ran, you submit those to the state for reimbursement. Right.
Right. But it's a matter of
Fucking
what money do we use to expend, and, how does it fit in with the overall picture? And I think that's why it was tabled to see how it fits in with the other two items.
But
Right.
you're,
No, I understand what you're saying, but it's still money we have to expend.
I don't think so, that's what I'm trying to articulate.
Why- Don't we get reimbursed for money we spend?
Oh, yes, you do have to pay the bill first, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not that we,
I don't know if
Like
that's the
that.
case with the source grant or not, actually. I don't know if you submit the bills to medical reimbursement.
could you find out before our
Yeah.
next meeting?
Maybe that's something we can do.
This is a reimbursable grant.
Yeah.
We'll have the details for the finance committee.
Good,
But in the end, you end up, you get paid anyways,
Right.
that's the difference.
Right.
Yeah.
yes. That is the difference. I like that difference, but it's expending the monies in upfront, that's my worry about. Thanks, John, it's
Yep.
a good thought.
Would it be problematic for quorum if I went to the restroom?
We can have a short recess.
Okay, thank you.
So it's recess for.
I need a minute.
10 minutes? Let's make it 5. We're in recess for 5 minutes.